I never thought silence could be louder than screaming. But when my husband gave me the silent treatment for 2 whole weeks, it felt like the walls of our house were closing in on me. No words. No glances. Not even a sigh. Just a cold, calculated silence that cut deeper than any insult ever could. Before I tell you exactly what happened and the shocking decision I made, you need to do one small thing for me. Hit that subscribe button and join me, because what I'm about to share will leave you questioning everything about love, trust, and marriage. Now, let's go back. It all started the night I worked late. I'm not the type who stays at the office past hours unless there's a deadline breathing down my neck. That night, the lights in the building were dim, most of my coworkers had already gone home, and the hum of the printer was the only sound keeping me company. I didn't leave until 11:30 p.m. By the time I got home, my husband, Mark, was already in bed. I expected him to be annoyed, maybe a little passive-aggressive. But what I got was worse. The moment I slid under the sheets beside him, he turned his back to me. "No, hi. No, you're late. Just nothing." At first, I thought he was asleep. I whispered his name, touched his shoulder gently, but he didn't flinch. So I told myself, okay, he's tired. We'll talk in the morning. But the morning came, and still silence. He walked past me like I didn't exist. He made himself coffee, checked his phone, and left for work without even a nod in my direction. Suspense hung in the air. My heart started pounding with questions. Did I do something wrong? Was he upset because I stayed late? Or was it something bigger, something I couldn't see yet? Day 1 of silence felt confusing. Day 2 felt unsettling. Day 3 felt like torture. Imagine living with someone, eating at the same table, sleeping in the same bed, yet feeling like a ghost in your own home. I tried everything. I cooked his favorite dinner, grilled salmon with lemon butter. He ate it without a word. I left notes on the fridge. He ignored them. I even stood in front of the TV one night, desperate for eye contact. He just stood up and walked away. Every hour that passed, the silence grew heavier. It wasn't just about me working late anymore. This was punishment. A deliberate attempt to make me suffer for something I wasn't even sure I'd done wrong. And that's when the paranoia crept in. On the 5th day, as I scrolled through my phone at 2 a.m., unable to sleep, I noticed something strange. Mark's WhatsApp showed last seen at odd hours, 1 a.m., 3 a.m., even when I was lying next to him in bed. Who was he talking to? Why was he awake and online while pretending to sleep beside me? My chest tightened. Could it be another woman? The thought haunted me so badly that I started staying awake just to watch his patterns. He would keep his phone face down on the nightstand, and if I even reached for it, he would suddenly shift in bed as if he sensed it. By day 7, I wasn't just being punished. I was being driven mad. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was filled with suspicion, with fear, with the sound of my heart cracking. One evening, I couldn't take it anymore. I stood in the kitchen, blocking the doorway as he tried to pass. "Mark," I said, my voice shaking, "please. Just tell me what's wrong. If you're angry at me for working late, I'll explain. If it's something else, I deserve to know. You can't just erase me like this." He looked at me for the first time in a week. And in that moment, I almost wished he hadn't. His eyes were cold, his face expressionless, as if I were nothing but an inconvenience in his carefully curated life. And then, without a single word, he brushed past me, grabbed his keys, and left the house. That night, I cried until I couldn't breathe. By the 10th day, I noticed something even darker. Our credit card statements. Large charges from restaurants I'd never been to, receipts tucked in his pockets for things he never brought home, wine bottles, luxury dinners for 2. My stomach dropped. He wasn't just punishing me for working late. He was hiding something. But still, He refused to speak. Day 12, I found myself in the driveway, gripping the steering wheel of my car, contemplating whether to follow him. My hands trembled as I watched him pull out of the garage, calm and casual, like he didn't have a care in the world. I trailed him across town, heart hammering. He drove to an upscale Italian restaurant, parked, and went inside. I sat in my car, debating whether to confront him right there. But then I saw her. A woman. Elegant, with dark hair cascading over her shoulders, laughing as she joined him at the table by the window. My vision blurred with rage. Mark, my husband, sitting across from another woman, smiling, talking, while I was at home drowning in silence. I wanted to burst inside, to throw the wine bottle off their table and scream the truth out loud. But I didn't. I stayed. I watched. My silence became as heavy as it had been. By the time I drove home that night, I wasn't the same person anymore. On day 14, something inside me broke. The punishment wasn't just his game anymore, it had become mine. So when he walked into the bedroom, threw his jacket on the chair, and collapsed on the bed without acknowledging me, I leaned close and whispered softly into the darkness, "Two can play this game." And that's when everything shifted. Two can play this game. The words slipped out of my mouth like venom, but Mark didn't hear me. He had already turned away, pretending, as always, that I wasn't even in the room. But deep inside, something inside me had ignited. His silence no longer felt like power. It felt like a weapon I could learn to use myself. For 15 days, I had been begging for answers, begging for scraps of attention, begging for love. Now it was my turn to stop begging. The next morning, I didn't cook breakfast. I didn't greet him when he came downstairs. I didn't even bother pretending anymore. I wore my nicest dress, put on red lipstick, and left the house before he could even finish his coffee. And the look on his face, oh, I saw it. For the first time in 2 weeks, his eyes flickered with something. Confusion. Maybe even fear. That evening, I returned home late, carrying shopping bags filled with nothing but air. The receipts? Fake. The perfume on my wrist? Deliberate. I saw the way his jaw tightened when he smelled it. But still, he said nothing. On the 17th day, I escalated. I laughed louder on the phone, walked past him humming, texted late into the night while he lay there stiff in bed. For the first time, I felt him twitch. He rolled over once, twice, restless. His silence was cracking. And then it happened. On day 18, as I was brushing my hair in front of the mirror, he finally broke. "Who's been calling you?" His voice was sharp, slicing through the thick silence that had suffocated us for weeks. I froze, the hairbrush in my hand trembling. I turned slowly, locking eyes with him in the reflection. "Oh," I said sweetly, "so you do remember how to speak?" His face darkened. "Answer me." I stood, walked toward him slowly, and whispered, "Why should I? You didn't answer me for 2 weeks." He clenched his fists. "I was teaching you a lesson." My blood boiled. A lesson? For what? For working late? For providing for this household? Or maybe it wasn't about me at all. Maybe it was about her. His eyes widened for just a second before narrowing again. That was all I needed. Confirmation. "You followed me," he muttered, his voice low. "Yes," I said, my lips curling into a bitter smile. "I saw you. At that restaurant. With her. While I sat at home crying, you were drinking wine and laughing with another woman." For the first time, his silence shattered completely. "It's not what you think." I laughed, loud and hollow. "It's exactly what I think. And you know what, Mark? Your punishment backfired. Because those 2 weeks, they didn't break me. They built me. They showed me who you really are. And they showed me what I have to do next." His voice dropped. "And what's that supposed to mean?" I leaned close, my lips brushing against his ear, and whispered, "It means you lost me." He staggered back, his face pale. "You wouldn't dare." But I already had. That night, while he paced the living room in anger, I packed a small bag. My heart was pounding, but my mind was clear. I wasn't going to be his victim anymore. When he finally noticed, he stormed into the bedroom. "Where do you think you're going?" I zipped the bag, lifted it onto my shoulder, and looked him dead in the eye. Away. To a place where silence doesn't kill me. To a life where I don't have to beg for respect. To a future where I'm not punished for being strong. His face twisted with rage. "If you walk out that door, don't ever come back." I smiled sadly. "That's the idea." And with that, I walked out. The cold night air hit my face as I stepped onto the porch. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe. Each step toward my car felt like reclaiming a piece of myself he had tried to bury under silence. As I started the engine, I saw him through the window. He was standing there, motionless, finally realizing what his silence had cost him. The punishment he thought would control me had destroyed him instead. Because sometimes, the loudest revenge isn't yelling. It's walking away and letting the silence echo forever. And that's how my husband's silent treatment turned into his worst nightmare. He thought he was punishing me, but in the end, he punished himself. Tell me, what would you have done if you were in my shoes?